Going down, it's your boy Juicy J. My hustle is our hustle, man. That's what you're watching right now. It's going down.
COLLABS, Kendrick Lamar, my dude Rambo. Our hustle.
Yeah. Looks like we are back in the helm. Still no Iceman. The date did come out as May 15th, so we are excited for that, obviously. I think a lot of times people may misconceive my criticism of Drake as hate for Drake, and I'm just here to tell you that is not the case. This is pretty much me just being authentic about my taste in music and my taste in character. For me, my issue with Drake has never been his music until his music changed from likable, appealing, nice kid from the suburbs that could sing and was an impressive rapper lyrically and was honest and was transparent to what he thought the ideal rapper version of himself was, without the niceness, without the approachability, without the universal appeal, without the nice guyness. And I think once you kind of lose that, then you kind of risk your core audience, because these are the people that came up with you. We met you as Drake, whether that be in So Far Gone, the mixtape, or Comeback Season, or wherever you kind of landed on. With that being said, we're only a week away from Isaiah Rshad's brand new album. It's been awful. There's some really cool artwork that came out. The cover for the album came out. It's a hand-drawn piece. It looks beautiful. And I really actually love the marketing rollout that they have, as far as like showing you essentially what the booklet of the CD would be without actually having a booklet. It's a digital, it became a digital representation of what the booklet would be. So you get to experience his vision of what the music looks like in real life through this external design. Essentially, it's like an EPK for the album, which honestly, I love the idea, because even when you meet somebody and you say, hey, check out my album, here's a link to it, that almost creates the ability for you to be a direct consumer type of artist, And honestly, I think that's the future for any artists that are kind of sick and tired of not having control of their music, of depending on streaming services, on these publishing websites, and just want to sell their music and be able to make the money they want to make off the music. Little by little, that will become a much more lucrative venture. Not just lucrative, but I think more common than anything else. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go through some of the topics that we've posted throughout each day on the Instagram page. So remember that anything that we talk about on the podcast is essentially something that we more or less posted about during the week. So you're able to engage with us in the conversations, in these topics during the week on Instagram as well as TikTok, and then relay to us your opinions and your takes, and then we'll include those into the show so we can have more of a back and forth. And who knows, maybe at some point do some kind of live call-ins with fans and people that want to have these discussions. One of my biggest pet peeves, and it's kind of like my own thing, but when I'm watching a podcast, listening to a podcast, I'm thinking to myself, man, I have something I want to say about this topic, about this thing, and how cool would it be if you guys felt that way when I was saying something, and you could literally call in or tap in and drop in your 2 cents, you know what I mean? And it may even be 2 cents, because that'd be kind of a cool branding, and it's cheap, and whatever. I mean, how many 2 cents opinions can you have, And it doesn't mean you have to agree with me. It doesn't have to, you don't have to disagree with me. But we'll be able to have these conversations, and I argue for sport, so just letting you guys know that ahead of time. So let's go through the story, and these will be some of the topics that we tackled today on the show, and that way we kind of develop a routine of what we talk about is based on what we have seen, what we have run into, as well as any other major and overlaying topics that we may have to tap into. Also something that happens is when these major artists, when the top of the food chain of any genre releases their album, it seems like everyone else tucks their tail. For when Bad Bunny was rolling out, no one else was dropping anything because they knew that the audience attention was going to be solely on Bad Bunny. But the truth is, this actually isn't always necessarily 1,000% accurate, because the truth is, you have your own fans, you have your own following, you have your own people that support you, and if you can focus in and really cater to that crowd in a way that they feel seen, that they feel heard, even though they're listening to you, and you're able to create this relationship that supersedes the concept of anyone else that's releasing, right? Not saying it's easy, but I'm saying if you can create that kind of connection, even one person a week, one person a month, whatever, little by little, you can start to grow a fan base that can legitimate grow with you, and then also support you no matter what's going on. So at that point, it doesn't matter who's dropping or what's happening or none of that. You can release your music and you know that fan base is going to support you. With that being said, with Drake releasing his album on the 15th, April 5th or May 15th, we have other releases that are coming on that same day. And, for one of them being Nick Grant, which is a collaborator of Punch, affiliate to TDE, one of my opinion, the best, most lyrical artists from the new generation coming out of Atlanta, I believe. Now, Nick Grant is lyrically diverse, but very sharp, and it's maybe the closest thing I've heard to the dynamics of like a Nas. Not the same voice, but the same kind of like aura. The same kind of aura. They move the same, they kind of talk, and even their beat selection is kind of the same. Or I would even compare Nick Grant to AZ also. I think maybe Nas is a little bit different, but I think AZ and Nick Grant have quite a lot in common lyrically and just stylistically. And so Nick Grant has a new record called Same Song with Punch from TDE. Make sure you go check that out. And he's got a brand new album that's gonna come out on May 15th, right on the same day as Drake is releasing his. Now, I can assure you that Drake's fan base is not Nick Grant's fan base. Now, ironically, I think a lot of the hip-hop fans that are also Drake fans would love Nick Grant, but of course, he doesn't make the kind of music that is elevated, highlighted, and magnified for the audiences typically. So that's something to keep in mind.
R&B really, really easy and sleepy and boring if it didn't have some kind of alternative edge that made it.
You know what I thought about too, man? We don't pre-save albums enough. Pre-save, if you have a Spotify account, you could just pre-save an album and it doesn't cost you anything. You'll just be alerted that it's out. Now, with that being said, some of the records that I see on this particular project, you guys know I like to highlight features. I like to kind of showcase like what we can expect. That kind of gives us an idea of what to talk about or how to address this. And I think this will be a cool little exercise. But she's got a record with Lil Wayne on the album called Another Love. No Such Thing with the Clips, that's Malice and Pusha T. He's got I Need You with Brandy, a record that a lot of people have been talking about because, of course, this is a new talent from the new school of R&B, as well as one of the legendary old school artists of the R&B school from before. And so it's going to be really cool to check out that record and see how it turns out because they both have very particular voices, but they do have, both of them have kind of like this soft and easy listening vocal range that I think is going to make for a really good record, and hopefully, with the production, and they pick the right production and everything is good, because obviously that's where you can kind of miss or hit. So she also had a Missy Elliott record called Back and Forth, which already came out. Let's check that out. The record I think is a little bit underplayed. it would have been great to hear Missy a little bit on the hook and her starting with the verse. There's just nothing really that grabs you and is besides the fact that Missy and Kehlani are on the record, and you obviously you appreciate both their vocals and their skill sets, but the record in itself, it takes way too long to get into the record and actually catch something that's even remotely repeatable or singable or chanty or anything like that. So I think they kind of missed the shot on that. But we also have Shoulda Never with Usher, as well as Call Me Back with Lil Jon and T-Pain, which I'm super interested about because Kehlani is such a laid-back, smooth sound, and Lil Jon and T-Pain are the absolute polar opposites of what Kehlani is. So I'm super interested in to see what this sounds like because the record in itself sounds crazy. I'm hoping that it's like some sort of like anti-men, like just like crazy, like, why not? It says Call Me Back. I don't know what it's gonna be, but there's gonna be a chant and there's gonna be some vocals, and I can guarantee that for sure. Now we have Pocket with Cardi B. Now of course Kehlani was on Cardi B's debut album. And I thought that was a great collab. You know, obviously to me that's very much a classic album with so many hits on there. Even some of the records that didn't become hits are hit ready. Like you could release them today and they would still be huge records. So we have Call Me Back with T-Pain, Lil Jon, Pocket with Cardi B, Lights On with Big Sean, as well as Sweet Nothing with Leon Thomas, who is honestly looking to have a really major summer breakout with already doing the 50 Cent theme song for the Power Origin series, and now being on this Sweet Nothing record with Kehlani on her brand new album. The whole album has about 17 records, and it drops in less than 24 hours. So make sure you go check it out and support the Bay Area queen herself, Kehlani. J.R. Smith graduates from HBCU, North Carolina at 40 years old. If you guys know about J.R. Smith, an incredible athlete, standout athlete, played with LeBron James at the Cleveland Cavaliers. And honestly, if you know about him, he's the guy that called the timeout when they didn't have a timeout and he was stoned in the locker room and whatever. Like, this is what the Delonte West story could be. And J.R. Smith is just out here just, on side missions. But, congratulations to you, bro. Like, we're never too old and it's never too late to learn new things. So, get out there and learn something. Also announced today, Kid Cudi and Wiz Khalifa are doing a brand new project collab together. It might be called Epic. I'm not really sure. Maybe that's just the article that I read. But to me, that's like a Stoner's album collaboration made in heaven. Until you realize that the Stoner collaboration made in heaven is actually on its way out now, which is Currency and Wiz Khalifa with their brand new collab project called Ruthless Records for Drop Tops Disc 2, produced by Herrick Fraud, which if you guys aren't really familiar with him, he's a producer that used to do tons of stuff with French Montana and Max B during their big mixtape run. Definitely has a very particular sound. It's kind of eerie, kind of reminds me of Alchemist a little bit, but also has like the cinematic tone to it. It's almost like Tarantino mixed with Alchemist, if that makes sense. And honestly, however that sounds, that it makes sense, it sounds crazy even on paper. Oh, in other news, and because I skipped it or totally forgot all about it, Lil Wayne and Lil Twist are back with a brand new single. It's called Addict, I believe it is. And to be honest with you, it's kind of an interesting title because Lil Wayne was in the news this week complaining about how he's not getting booked for any of the major festivals or any of the major runs. And I think part of this goes to show that maybe not all media is good media. Unfortunately for me, or unfortunately for Wayne, there's been too many clips that have floated in the internet where he is, You know, and personally, I don't think this is a skill set from Lil Wayne. I think Wayne is way seasoned and super able to deliver a great show. I just think that Wayne also has been a celebrity his entire life, and part of him isn't able to turn it on just whenever he has to turn it on. Sometimes he just doesn't care, and it shows in his shows. And the problem is that a lot of these festivals and major events put so much money into these events that there's no way they could take a chance on somebody not caring that night. And when you deal with artists, you're dealing with very particular minds and very particular ways of thinking. And so when an artist gets into that mode, there's nothing you can really do but just hope for the best. And you know, we're kind of in a place, especially with the internet, cell phones and things like that, you know, bad publicity can actually be bad publicity.